start. It's late, and we're going to have a final test for half of our students, right? And Mr. Vittorio Missoni is here. He had a lot of trouble getting here, and with a close member of the family, and also who does PR for Missoni for many years, Countess Francesca Baldeschi. She's with us too. So we are ready to start. I'm going to give you a little background about Vittorio Missoni. I'm wearing my Missoni scarf. Vittorio was born, I think I told whatever the test. Well, I'm sure you'll come to the office and ask about it. Born in Milano, Italy, of course, Vittorio is the son of Rosita and Tai. I know, Mark, you have to adjust this because I know it's not loud enough. Mark, please, thank you. My hero. What would I do without Mark? For 13 years, he rescues me. You can't hear me? No? You can't hear me, right? How about way in the last, no, I didn't think so. I can feel it. It's dead. That's a good idea, yeah. Yes, they can't hear me. You talk? No? I know you will. And they have everybody has the clipping. Well, we're having technical troubles. Does that sound better? Whoa. Now the world can hear me. Mark? Do you think it's loud enough, Mark? That's good, right? This is good. Okay. Let's continue. Unfortunately, we just learned, if you're listening, would you mind paying attention to your teacher? Okay. Mark just tried, Vittorio brought, if I can call you Vittorio, he brought his DVD of the story of the collection, and interesting, but it doesn't work on our system. So, but you have the most fascinating, interesting member of the family. He will make up for the DVD. And just to give you a little background, he is the son of Rosita and Tai Missoni, who are the founders of this high-fashion knitwear house. Vittorio is now president of the company, is responsible for Missoni USA. He works with his brother and sister. The headquarters are in Sumirago, a village outside of Varese in North Italy. The company dates back to 1953. Vittorio studied in Lausanne, Switzerland, at a special school in scientific studies. He then went to England to improve his English. In London, he worked in companies to learn marketing and sales systems for 2 years. Returning to Italy, you have to take notes? No, we're okay. Returning to Italy, he joined his family and worked to learn all the phases of the business, from factory to marketing, sales, etc. He traveled globally promoting the Missoni label. He developed Asian markets, helped open many boutiques in Tokyo, Hong Kong, etc. He is also president of Missoni in France with his brother Luca and sister Angela. As a team, they have gone forward, establishing the image of their company. Missoni knits are very distinctive, and it's a signature recognizable everywhere. Their colors and patterns are unique, so are their knit techniques. With the unity, talent, and the pride of this wonderful family with love, have created dynasty in fashion that no computer can. Now I would love Mr. Vittorio to take the podium. You can take this off if you want.
I can take.
And walk
Okay, I can. Okay. First of all, I'm sorry. I had a beautiful DVD. I just took it with me with the last show we make on our 50th anniversary. It's a retrospective show that, but it doesn't work. I'm sorry. And anyway, I'll try to tell you what's going on. So let me tell you something about Missoni. I don't know how much you know about Missoni. Missoni, it's something that when, okay, you speak about Missoni, and usually people think Missoni, it's just, we like to think it's color, it's yarns, it's patterns, it's knitwear, and many other things. But that's what usually people think when he heard about Missoni. Ah, you are this one about, you know, that makes color. So, you know, like people, I meet people, they say, oh, you are Missoni, the one who makes, you know, this zigzag dress I had one, you know what which I'm talking about? I say, yes, of course I know it. I know, you know, and this is what people remembers about Missoni. Then, I mean, we've done a lot of things, and we are doing a lot of things, but that's what, when you think about, people remember about stripes and colors and zigzag. Okay, and that's a great thing anyway, because that's what, since 50 years, my family is doing. And my family has done. And my parents, they start 1953, just making knits, and it's a very, very long story. And they really, you know, my father was an artist, and he was a runner in the Olympic Games in London in 1948. And my mother, she was studying English there, and in London, and they met at the Olympic Games, and then when they came back, my father started a little company of making jogging suits for the runners, for the athletes, and my mother, she loves fashion, and that's really the way they started, you know, just making things, you know, like knitted, and then they had, both of them, a great sense of fashion and colors. And of course, they just started, you know, trying to make something that was different from what was at that time. I'm talking about the 60s. I was really something, and at that time was really an incredible period too, if you can imagine. I was really, really a little kid, but in the 60s, everything was special. I mean, everything was really creative, from arts to music and fashion too. We had couture, and the ready-to-wear was growing at that time. And to be there at that time and just trying to be something different from what was it, and that's what my parents, they did. I mean, they were just trying to make knits, not normal, just solid or, I don't know, plaids or things, very classic, just trying to use color and very special color and very special yarns, and to make something very, very, I mean, different from what was it, normal. And at that time, creativity was for everybody. I remember being there. I was a little kid in my house. Was incredible because I mean, it was full of artists and designer and hippies or whatever. Everybody was there. And it was really, really funny for me and exciting and very creative. And people, you know, when they talk about us, they say, oh, these strange people make colored things, you know, and colored clothes, but it was quite good. And I remember when we start to make some, showing our clothes, and we were in Florence at Palazzo Pitti, which was at that time the cathedral of Italian fashion, and this was 1967, 68, and people, my parents, they presented a collection in this white room, very, very famous and very, very orthodox, I can say, very, and where everything has to be perfect and very, serious. And they presented their collection of knits and evening dress, and those dresses were, let's say, a little transparent, but I mean, just nothing from what you see in any kind of advertising today. And was just a little transparent, and this was really a scandal. I mean, after the show, the director of Palazzo Pitti, they came to my parents and say, never again in Florence. We don't want you anymore, you are a scandal, you are. And even the newspaper, the Italian newspaper, wrote that this Italian brand, young Italian brand, Missoni, was making clothes for the Crazy Horse, the nightclub in Paris. So this was great for us, because the day after, we had our showroom full of people looking for what we were making, and what was so strong, so strange, and so a big scandal. And they found on the other side it was great. It was just innovation, it was creativity, it was something different from what everybody was doing before, It was just using knitwear in a different way, using color, using light materials, making easy, and more special. So also this is a way to start, and I remember my parents, they were really upset about that, and then it was a great success. I mean, the business was going on, and we had plenty of, we couldn't even, satisfy our customers about what they wanted, because we didn't have enough. We had a small factory, which is also another very important thing, because we are designer, but first of all, we are manufacturer. We make our clothes. We are not just designing our clothes. And we are started as knitwear manufacturer, which connect us, makes us very related to our products, because at the moment you can make your things and you can check your things, and you can really stay near to the machine and see what's coming out. It's very important, because give you the opportunity to try and to, and really to be in touch with your product full time. It's not just making a nice sketch of what will come out, but it's really to know the materials, to know the fabrics, to know the yarns, and see what's coming out after that. And this has been all our life. We are still all manufacturing all our clothes, and this keeps us very connected to our products. It's not just we are a brand or a designing team, we are a company. We are a company that makes clothes, which is, it's a great help for us, especially when you have to make like knitwear that you have to try every day, and you have to match your yarns and you have to match your colors, and you don't have to ask anybody if you can do it or not, but you just do it, which is also quite important. And also another thing, it's very important while we are working on our clothes, it's the quality of the product, because we try to make things that we like to do, we like to think about, and we like to create, but also we like to make things that after so many years are still good. I mean, are still good and in terms of fabric, in terms of quality, in terms of yarns. And this is we decide, that's why we try really to use the best qualities, the best yarns, the best materials, the best wool, the best cashmere, the best cotton, whatever it is. And this is also very important because when we make things, we know they are expensive, we just want to know that people just don't buy something because it's just a nice and trendy, but it's also something that can stay for a long time because it's very well made and it's a great quality, which is something that at the end always give a great support. I mean, give a great advantage too in the time, because we try to make things that they are not for the season, for the moment, that they're not just fashionable at that moment, but we try to make things that you can keep it for long. We like to take it, people just keep it, or like I love when I see like our vintage clothes, and sometimes they're more expensive than the new one. I remember when unfortunately I don't have this show that we make it for our 50th anniversary, because it was a collection of pieces that my parents made in the 50s and in the 60s and in the 70s. And you could see that all these pieces worn today, in the way somebody of you will wear it, how modern they are and how modern they can be, even today, and how contemporary they can be, just worn in a more modern way, with a different belt, with a different, bag or shoes. It's just, they're still okay today. And this is the best compliment we can have, is when you see your things that are still alive after 40 years, 50 years. And when we were trying to make this exhibition of our vintage clothes, we were around in vintage market and trying to find pieces, and we couldn't find them because people that didn't sell them, or they were more expensive than new one. They say, oh my God. Anyway, that's a great compliment for us. And so things goes on, and we've been making all our life, our things, and even today, if after 50 years we're still here making our clothes. And my parents, at a certain point, they decide that me and that my sister Angela and my brother Luca and us, we could not work together because it was quite difficult. So we decided to, for different character. My mother, she said, no, I cannot follow anymore the designing the collection, and my sister, my daughter, she's better than me, and Angela, she start following and be responsible of the collection, and she's doing plenty of new things, and very modern and contemporary. And my brother Luca too is following the collection and trying to make new things. But the very important things, even after 30 years, is that they make things new and different, but keeping the style that my parents had created. And Angela, she was just saying that my parents has invented a style and an alphabet, and she's just translating this alphabet in her way, but always being, keeping the tradition that we have made, which is a very typical Italian way of doing, like a family business that you get from your family, and you try to grow up and keep it in this business and this creativity and what they did, but you keep the tradition, you learn the DNA, you get the instruction, but then at the end you make something new. But always is very important the research, the quality of the materials and the love you put in your work, you know, which is also very important. And you don't want to destroy what has been done in the past, but you just want to grow more what has been done in the past. And you want to make it maybe easier or funnier or whatever, but keeping the tradition, which is, for an Italian team, very important. I mean, in Italy it has been always like that. It's 3,000 years we do things, and we try to keep our lifestyle, you know, our, which at the end pays, you know, because it helps. Because it's, if you keep it in the way you like it, and in the way you have been, you learn how to do it, just introducing your new ideas, but with the same philosophy, at the end it works. And so we are doing plenty of new things now that are always Missoni, that are, but they're new and fresh and fun, and it's still very fun to do that. And if after 50 years, we are growing, and the company is growing, and we are also lucky that we don't have owners, you know, like all the major Italian brands, and or worldwide from the 50s and the 60s, they've changed. They've been moving from one company to the other, from an owner to the other, which on one side can be exciting and, how can I say, you know, it's just a new experience that you can help you to grow and to take advantage from the marketing and from the business. On the other side, when you have an owner, it's hard, you know, you cannot do anymore what you like. And if we can still do that, it's after 50 years we are here, healthy and wealthy in a certain way, means that my parents were right, you know, just use your creativity and don't forget the quality and be loyal with your partners, and at the end, things works. And I hope we work for the future too, and that's what I'm trying to teach to my kids, to the third generation. And we can grow, of course we can grow, and we have plenty of space to grow. We are growing on the markets, we are growing with new products. I was just this morning to introduce our new fragrance with the Estée Lauder group. And we are going in home design, which is a fantastic job too, and which is growing a lot because it's something that is very connected to our original job, which is making clothes and knits and colors and fabrics, but that it helps you to expand in new in new markets and in new experience. Sorry. Being very coherently, how can I say coherently with your history and your products. Oh, grazie, thank you. Okay, don't worry. She's fantastic. She's great. She's great. She's and you know, she remembers me somebody at home. I have too. You know that she's incredible, and they never, you know. It's not a question of age; it's a question of brain, you know. And she's very strong, you know. And she has a great heart. Of course, and you know, the first thing is to love your job, you know, and to love the things you do it. And I mean, sometimes you don't really make it, you do it for money or for profit or to live. Sometimes you do things because you feel that it's good, and it's your life, and which is very important too. And I can see my parents, they could retire and just go there and, you know, have nice life. And my father is 84, he's still like, he's around, now he's in Dubai, just giving speech for the Herald Tribune with my mother. And my mother, she's 74, and she's working on this home design project, incredible. Last week we announced we are going on a project where we make hotel business. We're going on hotel business, and she's planning 35 hotel in the next 10 years. So that's very exciting. At 74 years old, you just make a plan for the next 10 years, it's 35 hotels. And she's pushing everybody, architects and designers, and making crazy everybody already. Which is great. And otherwise, I couldn't do in any other way. I couldn't accept all those, how can I say, all those new ventures if I didn't have a family like that. And this is a new other things, you know, home design, and but and now we go on hotel business too, which is great. And we want to make like new hotel, boutique hotel, very modern, but very fresh, very exciting, not boring, not dark, but where you feel home. Very Italian, plenty of color. And we see in the next 10 years. Anyway, you know, it's good. It's a very fascinating job. And other things I want, sometimes it's, when I speak with people who works on design and kids that works on design and love to become a designer, and you know, I can understand sometimes when I'm teaching to school or speaking with the schools that I met all these young kids that the first things they want to become, they work in fashion and they want to become a fashion designer. I mean, everybody would like to become a Gianni Versace or a Giorgio Armani or a Valentino. And then, which is good, but how many there are? And on the other side, I always say, listen, to make a great orchestra needs a lot of elements, and needs a lot of the best elements of the orchestra. To make a great orchestra, you need a lot of help and plenty of elements. So, just, okay, it's great when you come with your old book, with all the nice design you make and the nice style you make, but we also need good tailors. We need good, how do you call, people who knows how to cut, how to sew, how to make accessories, how to make hats, or, I mean, to make a big orchestra and the best orchestra, you need plenty of things. So it's just not thinking to become the best designer or the best master of orchestra, but you can also become the best piano player, the best guitar player, the best violin player. And this makes a big orchestra. So sometimes, you know, it's really fun when I can see all, they come to me with all their books showing that they want to become a designer. And they want to make, first things, the first desire is to make their own show. You know, I want to make my show. I have to make my défilé. And okay, first of all, learn how to cut, how to sew, how to design a piece, how to make nice accessories, how to make buttons and whatever. And maybe one day you will make your show, but I need plenty, the industries of fashion needs plenty of great helps, but But we are plenty of designers of star, and there is, so this is, it's happened in Italy, but I think it's happened here too, you know, and it needs a lot of help, of fashion, it needs a lot of help, whatever, from fashion to design to home design, or it's full of space, there is plenty of space, but the important thing is just, you know, really to remember that we need a lot of application, we need a lot of, I mean, to go into the problem, and it's also important not just to be good, to copy what you see today in the street and just to translate, but it's important to keep your idea and to be, you know, and to go on your way, you know, if you have an idea, and just to promote your idea and keep it your idea and give it and not just to follow where all the wind go in a certain way and where the stream go, you know, but just to try to be original and not to be afraid to do that, you know. This is very important. You don't have to be afraid. When my parents, they show their stuff and they say this is a scandal, this is a crazy horse, or whatever it is, and this was a great success. So probably they were right. They were a little very afraid about what they were promoting, but they were right.
No, you can answer. It's that when that thing happened, that accident happened or incident at Pitti, that was the fabulous thing of the Missoni, first of all, but also of Milano, because the fashion went to Milano. Explain that.
Okay, this is a part of the history. Anyway, it's great. You know, Florence at the time was the capital of the fashion world in the 60s, and they stay on their own line. You know, they wanted to make their couture and very strict, and at the moment they told my parents not to come anymore to Florence because their products were a scandal, and other people too were feeling that, so if Missoni, they don't go to Florence, why do we have to go? And other people too were feeling that it was not anymore the right place. And this was in the 60s, in the 70s, beginning of the 70s. And this was the way they started to show their collection in some bar or cafe or theater or in Milano. They start to make little shows in Milano, in some old theater. I mean, we didn't have a lot of money at that time. And just trying to make something different with all other designers that at that time were completely unknown, and the name were like Gianni Versace or Crizia or Giorgio Armani, and at that time nobody knew about these people, and they start really to try to make their own shows in Milano, and this is the way they started, you know, just trying to change the world, you know, of fashion, and saying what they could, to speak in a different way of what was the tradition at the time, and now after 30 years, Milano is the center of our world, and if you are not there or in Paris, that's it, you know. So you must be there, and so this is also nice things that they could, you know, at the time was happening. Probably today the world is not so I mean, there is not such a creativity like at that time. That time were really special. But I believe there is still a lot of space. There is still plenty of space for all of us to do new things and new ventures. World is moving very fast. There are bad things, but there are also plenty of good things. And we have to be very positive, and we have to look at the world with a very positive way, you know, and that's great. I mean, I was last year in Cairo, and I was invited in Cairo to make one of our show under the pyramids, you know. And the incredible things was that I said, why do we have to go in Cairo to make our show? And why they ask us to go in Cairo? And those ladies, who's actually is the wife of President Mubarak, says, no, you must come and show your collection. It's not for business. We didn't do that for business. It's just to show to all these girls, those students that, because they were trying to make a fashion school in Cairo, you know, to tell those Bedouins girls that they could use their creativity. And there is also a different world, you know, which is full of colors, of happiness, of, you know, and they could use their creativity to make something different. Even looking at their tradition, which is great, at the Bedouin tradition, looking at their origins, you know, and at their handcrafts and their crafts, but and making new and different, and that there is still a lot of space. And we did this show in Cairo, and with all these Bedouin girls that were making their own clothes, you know. And the reaction was great, you know, they were so excited, and they were so, you know, they just could do something different, something special, just looking into what their costumes, their tradition was. So there is plenty of space. Like my father, you know, we make all these stripes and this color, and one day my father was in South America, and they say, oh, everybody here is copying Missoni since 2,000 years old, you know. They were copying Missoni. So it's really like, you know, you can get a lot from the tradition, from the past, from the origins, and just translate and make it contemporary, modern. So it's a very, very long story, you know. It's plenty of things to do. There is plenty of space. So if I can, I don't know, if I can, you want to ask me something, you want to know something about, probably it would take a day to tell you everything, you know, about us or what's going on. Yes. That's great. I love you, New York. It's fantastic to me, and it's a fantastic. Yes, please.
The colors of I don't want to use that. Not again. The colors in the Missoni are very like prominent and always recognizable. Who do you have like a color department, or who decides on the color schemes like from year to year?
Well, let's say that for Missoni, I'm not talking for all the other designers. For us, color is, I mean, it's life, you know, it's part of our life. So let's say that when we design a collection, for us is the first step. No, for every new collection, the first, let's say, appointment, you know, you do in the season, the first step in the season to make the collection is the color card. Let's say when you decide you go on a new season, I know that the first meeting my sister and my brothers do is the color card, the color palette of the season. And no, it's not we have, of course we are a team. It's not just the designers. We have a team that works on that. It's a team of people that think and look through, and then, I mean, for us it's a lot of experience, of course. Experience is very important, you know, being there since many years. It's not just you say, okay, red, blue. No, it's just a feeling, you know. You come from one season to the other, and you move from one moment, and you feel that some color is going to be better than some others. But for us, color is life. And also, if you can imagine that we could survive in a certain way in a moment also when the color was not the most important things in fashion. You know, because fashion goes from color to non-color and color to non-color, you know. It's always like that. It's always been like that. We've been at least 4 times. And even in a moment where it was the minimalism and the non-color and everything was gray, beige, and black, we use color. And even black and white are 2 colors, remember? And you can use black and white as colors. You have a very nice black and white, black and blue and white sweater. These are colors too. So you can use, even black and white can be color. And you can, in this moment, you don't have to think, oh, what we're going to do, everything is beige and gray and black and white. It's a non-color moment. Okay, let's be the alternative. But you have to keep your way, you know, you have to stay on your way. She has plenty of questions. Okay.
Well, I know that your parents started this. How far did they get into the company before they started like manufacturing? Like, or did they just start sewing themselves and then build?
No, they really start themselves. You know, just my father bought a machine, a knitting machine, and my mother, she loved fashion. I mean, like all of you, just looking at magazines at that time. I mean, we were in the 50s. She used like to get magazines from Paris and from London that were speaking about fashion and just being true. It's a question of being fascinated, you know, about fashion. It's just a feeling. And my father is a fantastic artist. He's a good painter too. He's a great painter, and he likes, and he knows knit. He knows how to knit. And probably putting together the 2 things was a good combination.
Questions?
Yes, please.
As you mentioned that Missoni is now, want to start a hotel business, I was just wondering where will be the locations, like on Europe or in the United States?
Okay. Where we are going to make hotel business? Let's say that I believe somebody said that globalization is a bad word. I don't think it's a bad word. It's just what's going on. You know, world is going fast and world is growing. And so it's not really, we are making a business plan on that, but for us, for Missoni, the market is the world. And so we'll be open to be everywhere. Of course, we are starting with some projects. Like we have 2 projects. One is in-town projects, and it will be the first. We got a very nice building in Edinburgh, in England, and we have 2 projects in Dubai and Kuwait, because of course there it's easy in this moment to find people who is pushing and is financing this project, which is very important, you know. And this will be the 3 samples in a certain way, and on that way, at the same times, of course, we are working on new things like, I mean, can be everywhere, but of course will be like Milano and London, we are already discussing, and some resort places. But this is going to be, but let's say that there is no limit. But there is no limit in any kind of business. Even when I sell clothes, I always tell to my people of marketing, my sales people, I mean, if there is a nice place where there is a nice shop that you can be, even but it's not important. Sometimes they tell me, you know, to be, I don't know, someplace in a very nice small island somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. I say, but if there is a nice shop, you must be there. So the world is big and is going fast and very fast, much faster than what we think about. And I can see how fast we go, you know, from one year to the other. Yes. Yes, we have a store on 79th Street, and next year we're going to open another one in Soho, and it works. Homeline is already here in New York, in Barnes, and in some other stores. The real problem, I can tell you about marketing point of view, is that the home business is very easy. It's easier to present because you put it in a cage and you show it, the concept, but then when you go on the market, it gets spread. You know, there is shop that sells towels, there is shop that sells glasses, and there is a shop that sells, I don't know, home linens and carpets. So it's very easy to present a concept, and it's very difficult when you go to market in one. So probably it's easy when you have your own store, where you show all your things that you think about. Yes.
How much of the manufacturing, do you do everything in-house, or what things do you do out?
So we are specialized in knitwear, you know, but we also do prints. We do so let's say that our first job is knitwear, you know, the best part of our job, and we manufacture all our knits. But of course we need suppliers around, you know, that gives helps. But we try to manufacture all our knits in Italy in our company. And then we have suppliers, or we license some other products that we need where we don't have the knowledge in a certain way. You know, like shirts or prints, where we need people who's more specialized than us, you know. In this case, we license the production. But the important thing is to keep the control of the line and the distribution, too. But the control is always a question for the quality, that you never have to forget, because, you know, when you lose the control, you lose the quality at the end. Because suppliers, they always try to be cheap, you know.
My question is, where you're coming from your company, with the orchestra, which I agree with completely, you're able to have control over that. In America, I feel like the fashion industry, so much of it has gone overseas that there's less opportunity for some of those other parts of the orchestra. Where does that leave us, I guess?
I understand. Yes, I understand. Well, let's say that I believe that when I'm talking about quality, you know, I think quality is part of, I mean, depends where you want to be in the fashion business. I'm talking about my world, you know, then there are other world which is also fashion and is fantastic, but it's another. And I believe that we can have people in all these places. I know that it spreads a lot around the world. But for example, I have some friends that work for other companies, and they are moving all around the world, because I have friends that work for Zegna, and Zegna is moving to China, and they all move to China to control their production and their manufacturing there, and to keep the quality high, even if they are in China. And the real problem is that, it's the world, that the Chinese kids are becoming very clever, and they're learning about quality too, you know, and now they're learning very fast. But I believe that, of course, the Italian way is we still keep it very close, the control of everything. When you go to big industry, it spread a lot. But I believe that also big industry needs a lot of help. I hope.
Vittorio, I think, because you know how I love Italy,
Sì.
quality is the creativity. Italy never gives up their creativity and
No.
their daring, never. That's it.
No, let's say that creativity, but it's no, it's a question of Italy. Italy is well, it's part of the culture, of the Italian culture, to use the creativity. I mean, what you say, the Italian creativity. The Italian creativity can be all over the world, but we try to keep it, you know, in a certain way. Sometimes when you need, like, probably she wants to say that now people is moving around the world with production. I'll try to keep in my production in Italy, because I believe that if you want to keep the quality, we still have a lot of space. Then is a problem of cost, you know, it's more a problem of money. But I believe that we have to keep it till we can where we are. Like, I believe that made in Italy is still a synonymous of quality, and we have to work for that. And because it's the only way, quality, in a world that is looking only for the best price and for the cheapest price, talking about productions and things like that, the only way you can win is creativity and quality. Otherwise, you go to some other markets, you know. So, any other question? I'm sorry, I had a very nice show. I send it to her. Maybe you will say it sometimes. I return. Okay, promise. It's a pleasure. Yes. 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 It's not easy, eh? Family business are not easy. First of all, I believe that I can do that thanks to my parents. I mean, I've learned from my mother that, and she's that you can discuss when you are working, you know, in the business. There can be a lot of contrast. But when you go home for lunch, it's finished. Then you start the day after again, you know. But it's really a kind of, probably it's very Italian, you know. It's still a very Italian way of thinking. But it helps a lot, you know. It's just, family is one thing, and it's very important. And in the moment you need is the only help you can get, you know. On the other side, you can fight in business, or you can discuss, and it's business. It's work, and opinions, if there were opinions, there were, my mother, she just left her job, and she left to my sister because they couldn't work together. But she understood that it was the right time to live. I mean, not everybody's like that, her, you know. And so it's not easy. You need to be patient, and I believe it's a kind of really, you know, culture in a certain way. It's what I learned from my parents. It's just, okay, you can fight a lot, you can discuss, you can have your own idea, but when you go home, it's finished, and then tomorrow, the day after, it starts again. It's a lot of respect, but this is only, can be in a family, can be in an orchestra, can be in anything. The respect of the people you are working with. You know, this is very important, because it's a question of, you know, if I respect you and you respect me, and I appreciate even the little things you are doing, and try to see in a very positive way, I think is very important. This helps a lot, at least.
So, I think... When you come back.
She want to know when I come back, I don't know. Sometimes. Next trip. In the spring? I hope, yeah. No, February is quite busy with Italy, and March too, but we see. No, I hope sometimes very soon anyway. Yes, I'll be more than pleased. Thank you. And have fun. It's a very nice world, this